cousin Steve, welcome to the podcast. You're the first member of the family to make it onto the show. Well done.
Thank you. It's been a long time in the making, I think, hasn't it? But I'm still waiting for the days where you get my dad or your dad on, so I'll definitely listen to those.
I'm a bit scared about what they talk about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be present for that. But
well, welcome. I'm pleased
Thank
you're here,
you.
so thanks for being here. Really wanted to have a chat to you about athletic mindset, your business.
Yeah.
So why did you set it up? What's it all about?
Why did I set it up? I think one of the things people struggle with, especially youngsters these days, is having confidence and self-belief in themselves, especially when they get to the performance side of things or integrating with the adult side of their sport or even their business. You know, I work with young business men and women as well, giving them the confidence in their performance in the boardroom or sort of like with sales or whatever it might be. And I think a lot of people judge themselves by how they look, but also the way they think is so important to change the strategies, change some habits. And I think if you ever go into a sport or if you ever go into a competitive arena with self-doubt in your ability, that's where performance suffers, obviously. You know, and we've all seen it, you know, like the likes of, you know, we're avid Everton fans. We've seen the likes of Wayne Rooney, right? He burst onto the scene, but when he had his lull, you know, everyone was on his back. He, you know, was depressed, and that was a very young age. And I just think that professional and amateur athletes, no matter how good you are, how competitive you want to be, they always need their mind to lead the way, and then their body, their nutrition, and everything will follow. So I believe it's an untapped kind of area where people skim over. Whereas I must be competitive, I've got to be brutal at this. Well, no, you don't, actually. You've got to set yourself up in the right way and let your mind actually see a really clear pathway for your, I call it the pathway to performance or your performance process. How do you get to your performances? What are the processes you go through? So, we're talking things like visualization and mental rehearsal. We're also talking about growth mindset. Where can you make a 1% gain that's going to give you that advantage over to where you were and over your competitors? But also fundamentally, you know, do you see things as opportunities, an area to grow, or do you see it as something you can't accomplish? And that's where, you know, the challenge then becomes to overcome these things with strategies. And SMART goals, people talk about them all the time, but what does that mean? It means breaking it down into little bits to achieve something in a massive way, and that can be accumulative over 3-4 years or 14-15 years in a career, or it could be within 6 months that you're in a different level to where you are right now. So mine's always fascinated me. I worked with a lot of clients when I was working in London on the fitness side and the conditioning side, a lot of professional athletes. And what always fascinated me was the difference in their mindset and the psychology between that athlete and that one. Both were at the top of their game. Both were fantastic athletes in their own right, but their mentality was so different because it was personal to them. And, you know, I've had the chance to work with some fantastic mindset coaches and listen to some fantastic mindset coaches. And, you know, the one thing we don't want on our ski slopes or on the football fields or the rugby fields or wherever it may be, whatever arena it may be, we don't want robots. We want personality. And how often do you see it in the sporting world today where you've got one guy who performs like the next one because they come from the same school or they come from the same club? We want personalities. We want someone to actually have integrity. And I think that's what I try and instill in people is like, be your own person and create your own pathway to your performances.
For the top performers that you've worked with and you've observed, what's the difference in their mindset compared to someone that's maybe not performing at that top level? What's the difference?
Unwavering self-belief. Like, I'm prepared. So, you know, again, like I said, I've been listening. I listen to podcasts when I'm working, when I'm, you know, at my desk, but also when I'm in the gym, when I'm working with personal training clients and conditioning clients. You know, in my mind, I'm listening to things that I've heard from before, saying, how do I get this person to the next level? You know, what is it that I need to listen for and look for in this? And I honestly believe there's like 6 areas of preparation. And the minute you go into competition or an FA Cup final or a World Cup final prepared to the best of your ability, you know, you're just then relying on your skills. It's something you've done before, and nothing phases you, nothing scares you. You're not afraid to take a chance. You're not afraid to be curious. And I think, you know, on that point, for me, like I said, there's 6 areas of preparation. Other coaches have brought this up before as well. 5 of them are off the field. You know, the one that's on the field is your on-field skills, your skill set. So in training, you're working hard on your technique, your skill set, you know, where your growth mindset into how you can become better at, whether it's football, like shooting or turning on the ball, whatever it might be. That's your on-field skill set. That's your on-field preparation. Off-field, you've got your sleep hygiene. You've got your mindfulness. You've got your nutrition. You've got your hydration. Yeah, or nutrition and hydration both together. But also what you've got is your strength and conditioning and your fitness. You know, and if all 6 of them are on point, how confident are you going to be at the top of the ski slope in your first ever World Cup competition? Or how confident are you as an 18-year-old lad going onto that field in Man United's Theatre of Dreams? And we've seen it with Kobe Mainu. You know, how confident is he? It's because he's been educated in the right way. His fitness is on point. His mindset's on point. But more importantly, his sleep hygiene's been drilled into him that needs to be on point for you to perform every week. You know, your nutrition, everything that we don't think about. It's all about your skill set on the pitch. It's not at all. It's just one minor facet. So
this is all about preparation. So let's
mainly, I would say 90% of confidence and self-belief is about preparation. The other is about knowing that you're doing the 1% things that other people aren't doing.
And a lot of that's behind closed doors as well.
Oh, 100%, mate. A lot of that has been done 4 or 5 years before, or has started 4 or 5 years before, and now it's just your routine. So, you know, love him or hate him, look at Cristiano Ronaldo. The way he looks out after his body, his mind, after a game, before a game, you know, that's what's kept him at the top. It's not just his physical prowess. Mentally, he believes every time he steps on the pitch, he's going to be the best player on the field.
You've got to respect him.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You know, and I was reading something the other day. If you can negotiate a contract for £3 million a week in a Saudi Arabian club to get, you know, re-sign in the next week or two, I'm just thinking, well, he's going to be 41, 42 by the time he comes to the end of that contract. And you're just thinking, no doubt that he'll want to carry on after that as well. So,
well, he's built a reputation.
Yeah.
That he can continue because of all this preparation you talk about. Because of, there was a brilliant moment. I saw him in an interview a while ago, and in front of there's a whole bunch of cameras there, and someone had placed some Coca-Cola.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
And I love that because he just picked it up, moved it over there, and picked it up and went Aqua.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's why you're
great.
Like, it's stuff like that where, you know, he would, I mean, obviously it's that plus a million other things as well.
Yeah.
But like that's the attitude, that's the essence of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people get fixated on what conditioning training or what fitness training they're doing and everything. It's about your recovery. Recovery starts the minute you finish that game. It starts in the change room. It starts on the walk back to the change room. You're recovering your mindset. You're getting the water in, whatever it might be. How many serious injuries has Cristiano Ronaldo had?
Not many. I can't remember many.
Exactly.
I can't remember many.
And yet, he started playing in the Premier League at, what, 18, 19? Mm. So you're telling me in that 21-year career, or whatever it's been, 21, 22-year career, by the time he finishes, and to not have a serious injury that's kept him out for longer than a year, that's remarkable. And it comes down to him. It's not just about the physios and everything else. Of course, he's got that. It's about him and his mindset and his willingness to work. I think it's fascinating. Like I said, love him or hate him, for me, he's one of the most ultimate athletes that you can ever have built, and he's built it himself.
Why don't we break down those points? Because I think what would be really valuable to people is to go, okay, sleep. Mm-hmm. That's one of the points, but how then do you get the best sleep for your recovery to be optimized? How do you, whether you're in business or in politics or whatever it is you're trying to optimize for you, how do you kind of take that Ronaldo-esque approach and apply it to your life so you can optimize what you're doing? So let's break down those kind of facets that you're talking about. Let's start with sleep. So I know how important sleep is, but how do you optimize? How do you get the best out of your sleep?
As a non-negotiable. You know, you've got family. I know, I haven't got kids, but when you've got kids and when you've got everything going on around you, your non-negotiable of having sleep hygiene is, I've got a match tomorrow, I've got training tomorrow. I need to be in bed by this, but also I need a darkened room, or I need absolute quiet, or whatever it might be. So you condition that. This is where I need to put myself. And I put myself there. Yes, it's selfish, But if I want to keep playing until I'm 41, if I want to keep performing the way I've been, I need that 8 to 10 hours sleep. Professional athletes probably need at least 7 to 9 hours sleep, good sleep, and they'll nap in the afternoons. But that's for recovery. It's not just because, I played a big game, I'm going to sleep. It's for recovery. It's about an hour's sleep in the afternoon, so let your body recover at the best rate it can while you're asleep. Lowest heart rate that you can, right? Get all that food, all that energy, all that recovery in, and then sleep. And I think you've got to be diligent. It's about routine and discipline. Sleep hygiene, yourself, just had another wee one join the family. Sleep hygiene is a pretty funny thing to be talking about, I should imagine, at the moment.
It's probably the worst time ever to mention to me.
I know.
But, because we're waking up 3-4 times a night because we need to feed, a 1-week-year-old, and we've got a 4-year-old to look after. So obviously it's taken with up until recently, our sleep hygiene was very strong.
Yeah, but hygiene's a funny word as well, right? When we think about sleep, it's about going to sleep on time. It's about screen time as well. No screen time whatsoever. Half an hour before is really hard to do. Yeah, but if you're serious about going into that boardroom even the next day and performing for the next 6 months on your sales targets, nothing's going to get in your way. So it's about you taking control. And I'm a massive believer of things that you can control. Just take control of one thing, and then the rest snowballs. Everything outside of your environment you can't control. So what Ronaldo best do in the world is they condition themselves so well in a bubble that when they perform, that's what they're conditioning themselves for. So
I love that this is just the thing you can do at home in private, and it costs nothing.
How good! For me, and I'm sure we'll talk about this. Mindfulness, meditation, not a thing for me. My mind's like a washing machine sometimes. So for me to have 2 minutes before I go to work, when my partner's asleep, and early in the morning when I'm going to the gym to train some clients, I sit there for 2 minutes with a glass of water. Don't do anything, don't move, just sit at the kitchen table. That's my mindfulness. It's about me preparing to go, okay, cool, let's make today awesome. And let's take things on. Let's take challenges on today. And let's seize my opportunities that I have. And that's my mindfulness, 120 seconds. That's me. I can't do any more. I've tried so hard, but that's my mindfulness.
And does that prep you? What are you doing in that time? Are you setting an intention? Are you thinking about how you're going to show up? What's going through it? There are affirmations. What's going through your mind at that point? Or is it about not focusing your mind? I'm not sure. What's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is being the best version of myself. And that sounds, very cliche, but if I'm not the best version of myself, then my clients, whether it's in the gym, whether it's nutrition, whether it's mindset, I'm on a Zoom call with someone for an hour who's a professional sportsman. I'm with them for an hour. They've got my full attention, So today I'm showing up for all of my clients, but I'm showing up for myself because that's what my business is built on. And that's what I'm built on, is my integrity. That if someone's hired me as a performance mindset coach or a sports nutrition coach or a conditioning coach, whatever it might be, they've got me for that hour, 2 hours, or they've got me for the next 4 or 5 months. And every time I see them, that's dedicated to you. Because
you got to be present.
100%. 100%. And I've received some great feedback from people just watching in the gym when I'm with a client. It's about how they move, and I want to know how they move. I do a movement screen with them, but not just to see how they move, how they react to disappointments in the gym. I can't lift this, or I can't move that way. And they come up with excuses, or, my left knee's not too good. Okay, cool. So you're already telling yourself, your mindset's already telling yourself that you've got a weakness. Okay, let's train that out of you. You're not there yet. And that yet is the best thing to put on the end of a sentence. In fitness, nutrition, mindset, you yourself, you've been on a journey like I have and everybody has. I'm not there yet, but progress over perfection, because we're always chasing that glass ceiling that just keeps getting higher and higher. Once we break through one, we'll always set another one for ourselves. I'm not there yet, but hey, my knee's feeling better this week. I feel stronger in the last 2 to 3 weeks. My eating isn't on point yet, but what I do feel is that when I train, my recovery is so much better. Yeah, I feel stronger and ready to go again. 1% gains. Yeah, and I love that. I love that fact that people don't see it in the gym or their nutrition. And all of a sudden it's like, wow. And mindset, In our most difficult times, we have one person to rely on. And I think when we build ourselves up over a period of years or months or weeks, whatever it might be, telling ourselves the same thing, negative or positive, then there's a reaction, right? If you tell yourself negative things, you always look down when you're walking along the road. You know, one of my coaches said to me, the world is at the end of your nose, not at the end of your feet. So look up, embrace the opportunity, and just going to the gym and being able to do a 45-minute session after an ACL injury, you know, and rehabbing for so long, then all of a sudden it's about taking those steps on the treadmill and, you know, those sort of things. Our mind's exactly the same.
Love that. Progress over perfection.
Yeah, 100%. You can have it, mate. You can have it.
So we talked about sleep.
Yeah.
What's next on that list of preparation?
Nutrition's obviously massive.
Yeah.
You know, it's what fuels you, isn't it? You know, and we all know about the carbohydrates, the proteins, and you know, good fats, healthy fats, and great oils, whatever they are, and what they do for you. But you know, the vitamins that you get, the minerals that you get, the things that don't get spoken about so much, they're the things that help your recovery. And I think, for me, nutrition sets your mood as well. You know, it gives you a massive boost in your mood, or it can bring you down in your mood. I think if you regulate your nutrition and you regulate your mindset, I think your fitness, your conditioning is just a byproduct of that, I believe. And that's just my belief. These are my opinions. But having worked with amateur and professional athletes that have fantastic integrity in their physical training and their mindset is positive, one thing that's letting them down is their personalised nutrition. They're not getting enough fueling, or they've overfueled, you know? What's the point of overfueling? You're not going to be able to use it. So fuel to the limits, but fuel in the right way at the right times. And that's with professional sports. You see it all the time. You know, football players, American football players, they get paid the big wages, but, you know, their diet is controlled. But when they're not at the training ground or they're not on match day, it's up to them. Which is why a lot of them employ professional chefs to cook for them day in, day out. The right amount of macros, yeah, the right amount of micronutrients. These are all right amount of sodium, you know, in their electrolytes. These are massive things, huge. I was coaching a rugby club over in New Zealand, amateur rugby club, you know, just a country rugby club. We started using electrolytes, but clean electrolytes. They're fantastic. And we used it from the start of pre-season. And it wasn't to keep them going or anything like that. It was to make sure their sodium was right and their hydration was right, so they could perform in the 79th minute like they would in the 7th minute. And they hated it. They hated the taste of it. It was chalky, so kind of adjusted the sort of like mix of it. And it just tasted like an orange squash drink. So in rugby training, they got used to it. During the searing heat in winter, they were drinking these electrolytes. And, you know, we won a lot of our games in the last minute, you know, or last few minutes, and we could just keep going. And it wasn't me. They were coming in willingly taking it because they knew exactly, you know, I don't want to break this cycle now. And that was all mental.
So the electrolytes, so that gives you more endurance? Or is that because you said it's also mindset as well?
Yeah.
So what is, because I used a lot of electrolytes last year, and I'm still questioning like where I am with those. I'm just interested, like, so what from a sports athlete's perspective, what does the right mixture of electrolytes give?
It keeps your sodium levels up. So basically, when we sweat out salt, pretty much, you know, and our sodium is part of that. So ultra runners, trail runners, you know, they're always taking on electrolyte gels. You can even get carb-free electrolyte gels now, which is fascinating to me. You know, and where I am in Wanaka, a lot of ultra runners, trail runners, that sort of scene over there, bikers, endurance bikers, fantastic arena over there. And you just see these guys trying different methods. But ultimately, it's about replacing the sodium in your...
Carb-free?
Yeah, carb-free. It's amazing. It's amazing. You can have a cola chew, which is a sodium release, but without with it being carb free.
So what's your body fueling on? It's fueling on the sodium?
No, so basically it's fueling on your glycogen stores.
Glycogen stores,
yeah,
got you.
Yeah. So every carbohydrate pretty much is a sugar. Yeah. So it's about filling your glycotic stores. But actually, you know, if you're if you were to go out on a run without eating anything, and you're an ultra runner, but you'd have to eat after the first sort of like 15, 20 minutes, good fats. Fats are your energy stores, the first 20%. So after that, then your carbohydrates, your glycolytic stores kick in. So a lot of people think, eating a big bowl of pasta before they go to sleep, before they go out for a big run the next day. Of course that helps, but you're just topping up your glycolytic stores, So a lot of people don't realize, you go out for a run after 20 minutes and you've just been into the fat stores, not even your glycolytic stores. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And that's where personalised nutrition comes in. If you've got confidence that you're fueled in the right way, and also you've got the physical training and conditioning, then your mindset's just like, I feel great. I feel ready. Bring it on. I'm ready to challenge anybody.
So for someone's looking at personalised nutrition, what's the best place to start? Are there tests you do, or like how do you know what's right for you, or how can you optimize? Because I've got no idea what will be right for me, I guess. So what's the right thing? How do you know? So
you're looking at sort of like the basics of it. You're looking at sort of like how many calories you would expend over a run or whatever sport you'd be playing. And how's the best way that we can get them into your body and keep them in your body by also optimizing your nutrition along the way for that sport. So, people say have a banana an hour before the gym or whatever it might be. That's fantastic. Yeah, but you're not going out for an ultra run. So you would have to fuel the night before. You'd have to fuel an hour to 2 hours before on the right things, and at the right times. So when they're on that 100K ultra run, they'd be fueling all the time, eating and fueling all the time. So my best advice is to speak to a sports nutrition coach or a nutritionist. They'll point you in the right way, but also they'll guide you on what your energy expenditure is. So every day we have a basal metabolic rate, how many calories we need just to function, to go upstairs, or in your case, change a nappy or whatever it might be. But all of the daily functional things. But your total daily expenditure, energy expenditure, is how much do you actually expend on all the things that you do per day. And if there's sort of like 1,000 calorie deficit there, a lot of people think, I'll take 200 calories off and I'll start to lose weight. Well, actually, your body's going to be working harder to try and find those 200 calories then. So actually getting the right fueling, the right amount of fueling for your body, for your sports, for your training needs, people that train 6-7 times a week, ridiculous amount of calories that you need. But you don't need any more than that. So you need to be within a specific range. And I find it fascinating how professional sportsmen and women without nutritionists that are there for them don't have an idea of how many calories they burn every day, but also they go through things like VO2 max tests, which are punishing for the body. And the amount of calories they burn through that is phenomenal. So, I would say get in touch with a sports nutrition coach or a, nutritionist, or if you're in a club, your club nutritionist, and get them to break down exactly what your needs are, first of all. And they'll do a kind of screening that says, hey, what do you do every day? How many calories do you expend? But also, what's your fueling like at the moment? Where can we change these habits and make, because we know with habits, well, you've got to break one to make one. You've got to break an old habit or pull it apart a little bit and take something from that, but take it forward in a different way and to create a new one. So that's all nutrition is breaking and creating habits that are sustainable for your sport and for your energy levels.
I understand it better now from what you've explained, because essentially what you're saying is that it's really specific based on the person, based on the sport, but also based on the schedule.
Absolutely.
For you to also optimise what's going to be right for that person.
Yeah.
Because also you might have different things based on if you're going to go for a 100-mile hike or run over the weekend compared to a rugby or football match, compared to someone who's skiing. Yeah. That's all going to be different, and then the schedule around that's going to be all different.
Yeah, and body makeup, females, they lose a lot of iron every month, through, natural causes, and people don't take that into account. When they're female athletes that are doing 50, 60K runs or whatever, you've got to understand your body is consistently putting things, or we're consistently putting things into the body, but through sweat, through excretion, whatever it might be, we're losing things as well. So we've got to replenish, and we've got to replenish at the right times with the right amount. That's vitamins, minerals, macronutrients, micronutrients, all of the above. Hydration, sodium, So it's all got to, if you want to perform at your best, your nutrition has to be on point to support what you're doing day in, day out for however long your career is. And your mindset, of course.
So we talked about sleep, we've talked about nutrition. What else is in there? We did briefly touch on mind.
So strength and conditioning, or your conditioning for your sport, obviously important. And, if you're a professional athlete, you're going to have that strength and conditioning coach that you can work with. And what they're doing essentially is pushing you to the limits of where you need to go, not any more, not any less, but also they're training you in, depending on the sport, it could be plyometrics, it could be sort of like, what would I call it? Interval training, it could be endurance training, it could be fartlek training, it could be anything, it could be powerlifting, whatever you need for your sport. So a rugby player obviously is going to train in a different way to an ultra runner. But what do you need as an ultra runner? You don't need to be pushing maxes all the times before you go into a massive 100k or 100-mile event. What you need to do is you need to have that taper period, and I'm going to push you to that level up until a couple of weeks out, so that you can maintain that strength all the way through your tapered training for your ultra marathon or whatever it might be. Whereas pre-season for a rugby player, you're going to be lifting a lot of weights, but also you're going to be doing a lot of fitness, a lot of conditioning. Broncos, I don't know if you've heard about Broncos, but Broncos are, 20 meters, 40 meters, 60 meters, and all that sort of training. So it's about your cardiovascular conditioning, but also it's about, holding that muscle mass as well. Rugby's a hugely physical sport, but you see footballers these days, got lean muscle mass, but actually they're not losing any during the season, they're maintaining. They run a phenomenal amount of miles during a game. Even if you're a lazier sort of player, you're still going to cover a lot of grass, right? Be asked to sprint, stop, jog, sprint, stop, jog. So that demands a lot from our energy systems. It demands a lot from our creatine stores. So that nutrient base will fuel your strength and conditioning as well.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I always remember Arsenal when Wenger took over, Arsene Wenger took over, and Arsenal were renowned as being a drinkers club, as in that there was just a drinkers culture.
Yeah, Tony Adams and all those boys.
Yeah, Tony Adams, Paul Merson, all these guys have talked about it extensively, which actually is kind of funny. I mean, even if we think about our Everton, Howard Kendall, like he was like, Peter Reid, this is a drinkers club, here's a box of Guinness, take it home.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because that kind of mindset back then, if we think about Arsenal, one of the first things that Wenger did was change the nutrition, get alcohol removed, wasn't available anywhere for the players. And then Tony Adams went on, he said, within weeks, months, he said, we all felt like superheroes. He just said, from where we were to where, very quickly, literally, he was like, don't forget, these are already top Premier League athletes. Internationals.
Yeah.
Drinkers. And obviously, if you're drinking as well, it means you've also naturally got hangovers, and therefore you're not having the best breakfast. You're not really thinking about your macros and stuff. I think you're just surviving to get through if you're kind of getting through this thing. Compare that to, a few months later, they're saying, we feel like superheroes, and they were the Invincibles.
Yeah.
I think there's a good reason for that.
Yeah. And it's all about sustainability, isn't it? Like that diet that they were on, or those eating and drinking habits that they were in, just isn't sustainable. If you bring in good nutrition with great fitness regimes, with a change in mindset, that's sustainable, because then they want more. Then they feel better. Every day they turn up and they're hungrier. There's more opportunities. They're more willing to go that extra mile and put in that 1%. And then the team performs, If you think about it, like if all of your team perform 1% to 2% better in every training session, how much of a difference is that going to make on a Saturday? It's crazy. And it's just those simple little things. I'm going to hydrate myself and have something to eat 2 hours before my training without anyone telling me. Your performance, if you sustain that for weeks, months, years, your career is just going to go in a different direction.
What's crazy about everything we've talked about so far is none of this is the specialist training for that event.
Not at all.
This is all kind of self-management stuff before you even show up to the training ground, and then you do your free kicks and your training drills and the set pieces and all that stuff. And that's all the tactics of the game.
That's it. That's your skill set.
And you're talking about all this stuff over here,
Yeah.
which is before you even get to the training ground.
Can be done in your own home. A lot of it, apart from the strength and conditioning training where you might need a gym or whatever. But hey, are you willing to, on your road to recovery from a serious injury, are you willing to listen to the physio? Are you willing to do those exercises at home that nobody does, but they tell people that they do? Oh, I still don't understand why my knee's not feeling well, because you haven't done the exercises. You haven't kept it moving, or you haven't moved in the right way that the physio is recommending. If you're willing to do that and be diligent with it, I guarantee that everything you do at home will show on the pitch before your skill set does. You have more energy, more interest in the game, more opportunities, more challenges will come. Yeah, your mindset will be like Guardiola's famous for saying to Haaland, he's got 10 seconds. He can miss 9 times out of 10, but if he scores that winning goal, I give him 10 seconds. He's allowed to be disappointed for 10 seconds. And that's it. If he's disappointed more than that, he said, then I'll have a pop. I'll have a pop at him. Because he's got a job as a professional to get back on the horse and go again. I think that's fascinating,
Let's talk about that, because I know that's kind of where we started.
Yeah.
So, because that's self-belief.
Mm-hmm.
So dig into that a little bit more, because with my coach, one of the things we talk about is recovery.
Yeah.
But like recovery from the bad thing, whatever the bad thing was.
Yeah.
And that's different for me because I'm thinking about this in a business context.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks a lot to me about, okay, how quickly are you back in the room, back on your game? And like, if I think about at the beginning of my career, I could be out for a week if something bad happens.
Oh, mate.
If I lose a big
100%.
deal, that could be getting wrecked all weekend. And that, that's I'm talking about an extreme kind of example, but what you're talking about here is the most highest performing level striker in the Premier League can recover after a bad miss 10 seconds later.
Because if you think, and I'm sure this is the way that Guardiola's explained, and all of the psychologists that he would have around him, if he lets it bother him for another 10 seconds, another 10 seconds, another 10 seconds, he's out of the game for 2 minutes, but the ball might come into the box, right? Ball might come into the box. So, you saw Seamus Coleman having a word with Haaland before the penalty miss against Everton. He got in his mind. He just said to him, stay humble. So I don't know what that did to Haaland, but he had 10 seconds to think about the penalty. And then he had another 10 seconds to think about what Coleman had just said. Another 10 seconds to wait until the referee blew. 30 seconds to wait before you take a penalty. 3 or 4 things going through your mind. He just missed a chance just before.
Is that what he said? Stay humble?
Yeah, he just said stay humble. And you see Haaland pushing him away and everything like that. And it's crazy, isn't it? And I was lucky enough to listen to a former NBA sort of like coach or player manager. And he said to one of his NBA players, he said, the question is this kid, he was only 20, I think, just made his NBA debut sort of like 4 or 5 games before. And he was all down on himself. And he was down on himself because he missed a match-winning shot or a game-winning shot. And he said to him, how many shots did you take in the game? He said, 14, 15, something like that. Or, how many shots at the basket? And he said, how long were you on the court? 36 minutes. And he said, how long does it take for you to take a shot at the basket? He said, a second, if that. He said, so you let 15 seconds affect 35 minutes and 45 seconds that you were on the court. Or the rest of the 35 minutes and 45 seconds you were on the court. He said, that's your problem. He said, if you don't have the memory of a goldfish in instances like this, he said, those 15 seconds that you've taken to take those 15 shots will affect the next 35 minutes. So you've got a choice. So I thought, and that's the same with all Premier League strikers, isn't it? One of the best at putting that out of his mind was Alan Shearer. You don't get to however many goals he scored, 200 and something stupid. From 1, being at the top of your game for so long, but 2, taking the next chance that comes along after you've missed the first opportunity. So
what are they? And also, you can reflect on your rugby career here as well. If you've had a penalty and you've not, so the good thing about this, you've got decades of experience which you can add into.
Thank you.
You're older than I am.
Yeah, true.
You always will be.
Yeah.
So you've got that real life experience of being on the rugby pitch, and you know, whether you've scored the try or you missed the penalty or you've scored.
Yeah.
Because either way, you've got to react. So what's the difference? What are they doing? What's Haaland doing in that 10 seconds to become, and I love that, like a goldfish and forget it and move forward and almost rebalance, compared to somebody who isn't that sophisticated in it? So like what can someone listen to from you today and take from that and go, right, I can go and implement that straight away? What can you do to...
Yep.
Because I hold on to these things a lot. How do you reset quickly or rebound quickly?
Well, I think there's trigger words that people use. You know, mine, and you're certainly right, I've missed so many important kicks playing rugby, and I've thrown a pass that's got intercepted in the last minute and we've lost, or, you know, I've missed a tackle on, you know, halfway up the field and they've gone on and scored a try, or, you know, I've had 7 kicks at goal and I've only hit 1, and, you know, and ultimately that's not the reason why we lost, but it is in the points department. And I always used to have triggers when I was kicking. You know, if I had a bad performance up until then, it was to change that right now. So I used to tell myself, time for change, you know, and 3 words I used to say to myself before I kicked was control, commit, okay, and patience. So if I felt that I was ready to take that kick, I'd give myself an extra breath, then patience. Just wait until you're... And Haaland will be saying to himself, I'll get another chance. It's all good. It's only 1. It's gone. You know? If I've still got that in my mind and the next time it comes around, I'm going to miss. So I've got no option. So the trigger for him would be disappointed for 10 seconds. Okay? But I've got to get back in the box because there's another chance coming. Especially with all the fantastic players he plays with. You know, he's going to get chances, isn't he? And Shearer was a little bit different. He used to take the ball and do it himself.
Let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So in that moment, you're commanding your mind. I'm thinking about this a lot actually recently about... I'm talking to a lot of mindset coaches and they say, and it's just interesting, the power of your mind. So you're commanding your mind, you're taking control, you're not allowing yourself to go into self-doubt.
Nope.
You're stopping that from happening proactively.
Yep.
Regardless of the thing that's just happened, but you're commanding your mind to think differently.
Yeah.
And almost take yourself, instead of going into a negative spiral, into a positive, something great's about to happen.
Yeah.
Or could happen.
You've always got choices, and I believe that mindset is built on choices. Yeah. It's a choice you have. You can let it affect you. You can take a negative mindset, or you can say to yourself, I'll get another chance. Or next time. That wasn't my best. That was embarrassing. But it's your ego. You've dented your ego. I've just missed in front of 50, 60,000 people. Well, if you miss again in front of 60,000 people and miss again in 60,000, how are you going to recover from that? So you've got no choice. Dust yourself down, but also say to yourself, this one's mine. And you do everything to get there and make it yours. So I think, you know, when you're working with mindset coaches and everything like that, they'll always come back to that. It's like you've got a choice. You've got to have that positive mindset. And if you haven't, you know, I coach young athletes, and we talk about the failure funnel, or what the way I like to describe it as a slippery slope, right? When you miss or you've had a poor performance, okay, then your confidence takes a hit. So your confidence is at the top of that funnel. It's an upside down funnel. So your confidence is here. So you're disappointed in yourself, okay, or you're embarrassed. That's the top tier. The next thing to go is confidence to do it again. You're not going to try that trick if you've just fallen on your butt, you know, or you've just skied a penalty. You're not going to put yourself forward to take another. Well, you are. You should, you know. And the next thing down is not just losing confidence, but it's fear of failure. Once we hit that fear of failure, you're on a slippery slope down to the other two, where you might as well be taken off. You know, you've got a choice in those first 2 tiers to say, hey, this is on me, but it's gone. The next one's on me, so I make it right. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, but for someone who's been through it, it's a lonely, lonely place where you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, expectations from your coaches, from yourself, you know, and it's management of that expectation.
Do you have to distance yourself from the expectation?
Yeah, 100%. You've got to be realistic with the expectation. You can say, today I want to score 2 goals, 3 goals. That's not an expectation. That's a pressure you're putting on yourself. Yeah. So a lot of people fail because of performance anxiety, right? So take that performance anxiety away. You know, come back to the present. There's a great coach. I can't remember what he was called. I was listening to his podcast, and another coach said to him, you know, what would be your best advice for people that struggle with performance anxiety? It would be to come back to the present. We don't control the past, it's already happened. The present is something we have control of, but also the future is something we have an influence on. So you've got a choice. Again, you can sulk about what you've just missed or the race that you've just lost, but what's going to happen? You're going to carry that forward. If you have a memory of a goldfish and maybe take something from that saying, hey, this is what didn't actually work. I can work on that and then take it into the next one. That's the influence you're having on the future. But the present moment is time for you to go, okay, cool, it's done. I would have loved to have done this. I should have done this maybe. Let's work on that and take it forward. Right now in the present is not the time for reflection. It's after the event's finished. So thinking about the things that maybe Haaland's missed a few or whatever it might be, or somebody's missed a few shots at goal, think about them after the game. You can't think about them now because you're never going to be present in that game until you let them go. Usain Bolt, great example. Trains for 4 years for 10 seconds, you know? And he said, you know, my starts used to be the worst. Used to be the worst out of everybody. So the last 60 meters is where I had to make everything up because I was faster. What did I do for 2.5 years? The first 30 minutes of his sessions, 40-minute sessions, starts all the time. You know, never used to be before that, but he was recognizing, hey, I need to change my starts. Otherwise, I'm going to get beaten. So yeah, you've got to take it on yourself and be in control of that. Whatever you can control it.
It's interesting. It's interesting how much a lot of this work is done off the pitch.
Yeah.
This is what I'm learning the most about the conversation. It's like, and you talked about the word preparation at the very beginning, and getting your mindset right so you can recover.
Yeah.
In those moments of setback. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. How does this relate to outside of sports, into business, into your personal life, into kind of just everything that, because our lives are multifaceted. I know we spend a lot of time thinking about sports. How does it also, that mindset and the preparation, go into the thing that goes on at home or then the thing that's happening in the office, and how does it relate to everything else?
Yeah, I think what it does is if you can have all these areas of preparation with your ducks in a row in all of them, what it does, it gives you that contentness of, I've done everything I can to be in the best position that I can be in. Yeah? So if you're going into the boardroom the next day and you've got a big meeting that you've got to lead or a big presentation you've got to give in front of 200 people, you've got an opportunity to be you on the stage talking about something you know you're prepared for. Or even just going into work every day, you know, and being one of the computer analyst guys or whatever it might be, just sitting in an office in the corner, you know, away from everybody. Yeah, you don't purposely go in to do the worst job that you can do. But if you're focused, if you had a good night's sleep, you know, hydrated, great breakfast, so you turn up in that office a different beast. You're focused, you're hungry. Yeah, you might not be, you know, wanting to be that person in that job, but you turn up and you do your job really, really well, and the level of performance is consistently good. So all we want from ourselves every day is to turn up and our performance in whatever we're doing to be consistently good. If it's not, we've got to look at ourselves. What out of those facets is not in order? And there'll be one or two that's not in order. When people go to the gym and they get a habit going 3-4 times in the gym every week, you know this, you know, you feel good about yourself. You know, I've actually stuck to my New Year's resolution. Yeah, but also when you're at work, you know, I'm turning up on time. I'm doing everything I need to do to put myself in the best position to secure that deal. Yeah, but if you roll up into the office and you're not prepared, one, you're never going to get asked to do a presentation again. Number two is that your reputation will take a hit, which is all ego. And number three, inside, you'll have no excuses because you knew you didn't turn up to the best of your ability in the best state possible because your preparation was probably the worst it's probably been. So you've got a choice. If you want to deliver on a stage, your preparation has to be on point, and those 5 or 6 facets all need to be aligned.
So if someone's a complete beginner, they're listening to this for the first time thinking, all right, I want to improve my life, I want things to get better.
Yeah.
From all the I call it self-care, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All the things that you can do to improve yourself
Yep.
personally. Where do you think someone could start to get evidence that they can improve? Where's the first place you would start? I know me and you love the gym, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's the right place, or sometimes
No.
that's too daunting for someone.
The first place I would start is a very simple list. I would say, what is it I want, and how I'm going to get there. Okay, what's the first 2 steps I'm going to take to get there? So, I want to lose, like, very, generic example here, but I want to lose 2 kg in 5 months, 4 months. Okay, what's the first thing I need to do? Well, number 1, I need to improve my relationship with food. I need to start not seeing it as a bad food or a good food or whatever. What energy levels is it giving me? Improve your relationship with food. Oh, thank you. You've given me energy here. Cool. Now, what else can I do after I've improved my relationship with food? Okay. I'm going to improve my relationship with exercise. I don't have to be going to the gym, so I'm not just going to go, right, no fast food, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. That will work, of course. But actually, probably about 75% will go, do you know what? I can't keep to the routine. So you've got to get set sustainable habits. So if every time you go in the kitchen and you've got really nice food sitting in front of you, but you're thinking, actually, I've just been for a walk or I've just been for a run, what's the right thing to eat? What do I think is the right thing to eat? What choice am I going to make? What is the best choice you can make right now? Well, it's probably that piece of steak with some great veggies, and some sweet potato or whatever it's going to be. Awesome, cool. My relationship with food has already got better. I'm making better decisions. What about the gym? Well, just been for a run, just been for a walk. Hasn't cost me anything. It's not a gym membership. What's the best thing I can do right now? Take on some water, have a shower, relax, take some food on. My relationship with food and exercise is just combined, shook hands, and that's the best starting point. So I would say, what is it you want right now? Simple list. And 2 things that you need to do and can do today that can start to form that habit.
I love that. And the reason why is because one of the big things I think transformed for me is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what journaling gave for me, which is kind of what you're talking about, which is just writing it down.
Yep.
Just the power of writing down and just repeating that process of, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
That becomes quite transformative
Mm-hmm.
when you answer that question every single day. Because I think a lot of people don't know what they want.
Mm.
And it took me a long time to come after this podcast and do it consistently for whatever reason, and it was only through the process of consistently writing it down, going, what are the things I actually want in my life?
Mm.
And I found that through the process of journaling over a longer period of time, so writing it down, as you're saying, what do I want? Till I kind of get to my answers of going, well, this is the life that I want over here. Are these the things that I have to do? So really the answer is, you've just got to start. Start where you are with what you've got.
Yep.
And then progress from there. And this is where I love the things we're talking about. Because we're talking about the 1% better. That's all you can, just get a little bit better every day, have a goal, work towards it, write it down. I love that.
Well, let's look at nutrition. That's a great example. And you know this, working with coaches and stuff. You look at nutrition for one. Even if it's just, I don't eat breakfast or I don't do this. Okay, cool. Do you go into the office sluggish? Yes, I do. Well, all right. So what should we do? Well, I'm going to force myself. I'm going to make a decision so that an hour before I go into the office, I'm going to have my cup of tea, but this time I'm going to have a slice of whole wheat toast with a bit of Marmite on it, okay? Because that's going to give me energy. And I'm going to make sure at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, where other people take, in New Zealand we call it smokos, but like they take their breaks, morning tea breaks and everything like that. I'm going to physically put a banana in my bag. I might not eat it, but the intention's there. And then at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever, and you're having a chat with all the other teachers in the staff room, whatever it might be, and you take one bite of that banana, habits started to form. I've done it now. I had a piece of toast this morning. I felt ready for work. And I actually put a banana in my bag, had some water, and then I took a bite of my banana. That's the formation, start of a formation of a habit. If you sustain it. Oh, absolutely. And then when lunch comes around, it's like, oh, I made myself a sandwich last night, a really nice sandwich for lunch, and it's in my bag. Cool, nice. How good's that? How much energy do I have at the end of the day? And again, like you said, man, like just start. Just start. Whatever you think will help you first of all is the best thing that you can like keep coming back to. It's like, this is my decision for me. It's about nobody else. And I said to all my clients, be selfish. Be selfish. What do you want and how are you going to get there? But first of all, what is the biggest or the smallest step that you can take that's going to have a massive impact on your day today? And sometimes that's just my 2 minutes of sitting there with a glass of water in the morning. Because I never used to do it. I don't journal. I'm rubbish at that, so I make notes on my phone. Things I pick up during the day where I catch myself and I go, oh man, come on. You said you were better than that. On my alarm, I've got, 3 words that come up whenever my alarm goes off at ridiculous o'clock, like 4:30 in the morning. It's like strong, powerful, and an intent. I want to have an intent to my day. What do I intend to do? And that's my little things. Because like I said, I've got mine like a washing machine most of the time. So
I've loved chatting to you today.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, no, I've really loved it. For the future, last question, last thought. What does the future hold for you?
What does the future hold for me? Hopefully a family in New Zealand. But also I'd like to, I'd like to continue to help as many people as I can, whether it be in the sporting industries or, sporting facets. But I'd like to have a big impact on people's lives, helping them achieve what they really want to achieve. And what do they want, and can I help you to get there? Because I've made lots of mistakes in my life, lots of mistakes that have hurt and been painful. And I want them to learn from my mistakes so they don't have to make those mistakes to perform. Either being a father or, brother, sister, dad, whatever, or a sportsman. Just take what you've got and perform to your best. And I want to have a part in that.
And if people want to reach out, contact you, get engaged, have some coaching, what's the best way of contacting you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and on athleticmindset.nz. So reach out, even if it's just for a chat about your circumstances at the moment. What I find is I jump on a clarity call or a breakthrough call for 20 minutes on a Zoom call, and it's just for us to meet and for me to plant some seeds. And then, there is no hard sell to work with me or anything. It's about, hey, is this going to benefit you? Is this going to add value? And do you think you're going to achieve what you're going to achieve with a bit of help from me? So,
love that.
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.